All right, hey guys, how's it going? We are gonna continue again with the one and only Bob. We read yesterday that Bob and Ruby's aunt elephants, they all help the littlest Kudzu, the littlest gorilla that Ivan loves. They help kind of to save him, to get him out of trouble. And finally, Bob hears Kenyani and Ruby calling for help and realize that Ivan is stuck under a pile of rubble, just concrete and stuff like that that's fallen and collapsed, and they can see his hand peeking through the rubble. And so they are watching as rescuers are trying to save Ivan and kind of dig him out of where he is. And he says that he can't hear anything and that this silence is the worst part, is the worst sound he can hear. Okay, so the next chapter is CPR. Okay. The wind dies down to a whisper, as if the world is holding its breath along with the rest of us. Do you have any vets standing by? Asked Officer Williams, as two more ambulances screeched to a halt nearby. Yes, Maya nods, but I'm not sure when they'll get here, though. Officer Williams waves down an ambulance crew member. Hey, have you ever given CPR to a gorilla? Primates of primates, I guess, he says, but he doesn't look sure. What's going on? We're waiting on equipment, but we're stretched pretty thin. Lots of structural damage on the north side of town, says Officer Williams. They're going to get a chain on that last beam. Try pulling it free with one of the cars. Somebody's under there? A gorilla, we think. I'm not sure what else or who else. I look at the cement, all the wood, all the metal. Nobody could survive that. Not even a silverback gorilla with the strength of 8 men. And yet, Ivan's fingers moved. And then they didn't. Several minutes pass. The rain slows a bit along with the wind. The crowd watches as 3 firefighters attach a long chain to a metal beam next to Ivan, then hook it to a tow bar on the rear of the police car. Back up, folks. Come on now, farther. The chain clanks. The car growls and the wheels squeal, grinding and groaning. Progress, just a bit. A big chunk of metal has definitely moved a whisker or two. More grinding. Wheels dig holes in the ground. Mud flies like thick brown rain. A lurch, a snap. Clinks and rumbles as the big beam jerks free. The rescue workers move in, digging with their bare hands. Cement and dust and metal and bits and pieces of gorilla world are everywhere. But where is Ivan? No. No movement, nothing. But after a few more minutes, one thing is clear. A gorilla-shaped mound has appeared, covered by dust and dirt and debris and splattered with rain. It just lies there. I've lost a lot in my life. My whole family, Stella, but Ivan, no, it cannot happen this way. Not Ivan. Miracle. The mound. Ivan sits up. Gorilla ghost. Ivan emerges from a cloud of dust like a jumbo-sized ghost. He blinks several times, coughs, shakes, and stretches a little bit. He's holding a banana, which he proceeds to eat. Everyone, and I do mean everyone, cheers. Wolf on the run. I scramble over to Ivan, and he gives me a look that says, "You're the best, Bob." "I thought you were a goner," I say, licking some banana goo off his chin. "Me too." Ivan seems a little dazed. His lashes are white with dust. "What happened anyway?" "Tornado." "Ruby okay? Kenyani, Julia, George?" "I haven't seen Julia or George." "Kenyani's over there, carrying on." A paramedic holding a box of medical equipment approaches us nervously. "I've got this," calls a woman I recognize as one of the park vets. The paramedic looks happy to step aside. The vet gently but firmly pushes me out of the way. "I'll be back," I tell Ivan. I run to Kenyani. "He's good, totally good." The look of joy in her eyes makes me want to give her an affectionate nose nudge. Almost. From there, I join Ruby and Maya. "I was so scared, Bob," Ruby whispers. "Me too," I admit. "Me too, but he's fine, I promise." We watch a pair of otters dart past, chased by a guy with a net. One of the firefighters, who'd been clearing debris, yells, "We're clear here. No sign of other victims." Sarah closes her eyes and I can smell her relieved tears. While Maya listens to her walkie-talkie, trying to take stock of the damage to the park, Officer Williams' radio hisses and crackles with new problems, new flooding, new dire predictions. "Copy that," she says into her radio. Even with the chaos and the noise, I'm close enough to the radio to catch the tiny sound of frantic barking. "We've got a unit reporting the animal shelter down the street's flooding," Officer Williams says. "Also, we've got trailer park damage on 12th Street and Oak, down at Nelson Avenue blocking traffic, and a big rib overturned near the fairgrounds. And that's just for starters." Out of the corner of my eye, I notice something airborne. It's graceful and bold, like a huge wingless bird. The crowd gasps. It's Kimu. He lands on the hood of Officer Williams' squad car. His eyes are glazed. His coat is wet and shimmering. We got a 1091 here," Officer Williams whispers into his receiver. "Confirmed. Seems there's a wolf on top of my vehicle." Slowly, she reaches for the pistol on her hip. "Please advise." Shots fired. Several officers raise their guns. The tranquilizer dart guy takes aim too. "No!" Maya yells. "No guns!" Kimu blinks, eyes darting right and left, and then leaps off the car with such grace and speed, it's like he owns the wind. 2 shots ring out, and silence follows. "Was he hit?" someone asks. Maya closes her eyes. "I sure hope not." "I sure hope so," someone else says. Jungle. As I watched that leap, watch Kimu fly, I didn't know what to think. Part of me was like, "Go for it, dude!" And the other part of me was thinking, it's a jungle out there. A situation. Officer William climbs onto a picnic table. Someone hands her a megaphone so she can be heard over the din. "Folks," she yells, "listen up. We've got a handful of animal control workers coming over, but several roads are already flooded out. And the weather guys are saying Gus is going to take it's going to take its sweet time. Meantime, park supervisors, call in more help, but only if your workers can get here safely." The unmistakable roar of a big cat rolls over us like slow thunder. Any more trank guns?" Officer Williams asks the park director, who's just arrived. 3 in reserve," she answers. "Nets?" "We have a dozen." "Okay then," Officer Williams' radio crackles. I can hear more shouting, more barking dogs. "The shelter's flooding," she says. "Yeah, that's happened there before," the director says. "Usually just a foot or 2 of water." "Okay, public safety is where we start." Officer Williams wipes rain from her forehead. "We need to get the word out that these animals are on the loose." "Of course," says the director. "We have protocols in place, but we need to be careful how we word this. People might overreact. Ma'am," a firefighter interrupts, "I see a python in my backyard. I'm sure as heck gonna overreact." "Me too." "First things first," says Officer Williams. "Triage in the main office. Check wreckage for any survivors, human or animal. Fan out with trank guns. Get an inventory on how many animals are loose." I wonder how it's possible that Officer Williams can seem so composed. The air reeks with fear from animals, birds, and people. From me. And yet she doesn't seem worried about herself, just other people. Weird the way some humans stick their necks out for others. Doesn't make a whole lot of sense, does it? Again the crackle, the hiss, the barking. My ears perk up for just a minute. Was that a familiar voice? Maybe someone I know in the slammer? "I'm going to the shelter at the elementary school," Sarah says. Her hands are trembling, but her voice is firm, to look for George and Julia, just in case. She strokes my head, and I'm happy to let her. I wonder if I should tag along with her to see if I can help out. Now that I know Ivan and Ruby are safe, hiss, crackle, meow, bark. I hear it again. My ears go on alert. My body goes rigid. No, it's impossible. I wonder who he thinks he's hearing. Never. Some barks you never forget. One place. I know what I have to do. Despite the turmoil all around me, the noises, the smells, the fear, the confused humans, the frantic animals, despite my worry about Julie and George, I know there's one place that I need to be. A split second. I want to tell Ivan and Ruby, but Ivan is still being poked by the rhymes with pet threat. Although, come to think of it, she doesn't seem like much of a threat. In a movie, she'd be one of the good guys. But to my annoyance, Sarah picks me up. I hate being picked up. Unless it's my idea, then it's totally cool. Maya, she says, you let me know first sign of George and Julia, okay? I promise, says Maya. She places her hand on Sarah's shoulder. Humans always with the touching, although I kind of get it under the circumstances. You can't take Bob to the school shelter. They're not allowing any more pets, Maya points out. And the animal shelter's flooding, it sounds like, so why don't you just leave him here? I'll put him in my office. He'll be safe. No way is that on my agenda. Sarah nods. Good idea. She starts to hand me over but hesitates when she realizes that Maya still has a meerkat wrapped around her neck. It's just a split second, but a split second is all it takes to escape when you're Bob, untamed and undaunted. On my way. Bob, Sarah cries. Grab that dog, Maya yells. I spent a good part of my life running from a certain guy named Mac, and I still have my moves. I twist and spin, dip, and before they can say, yes, sir-ree, Bob, they've given up. I backtrack, slip under a bench, and make my way to Ruby. Ruby, I whisper, I gotta go. Something important's come up. You and Ivan see if you can find George and Julia. Well, I want to come, Ruby says, stomping her foot right in front of a huge puddle. No, you need to keep an eye on Ivan. Make sure Kenyani doesn't drive him loco with her sobbing. I'll be back before you know it. I don't wait for an answer. I'm off into the wild, into the world filled with wind and rain, with wolves and alligators, and with a voice that could rip my heart in two. All right, so we are going to start on part 3 next. All right, hope you guys are enjoying it. Bye. Have a good one.